There's an episode of the sitcom Friends titled The One with the Baby Shower, where Joey is auditioning to be the host of a game show called Bamboozled, except he doesn't quite understand the rules. Chandler and Ross don't really get the rules either, but it turns out they were so into the completely made-up point system that they couldn't help but find some enjoyment in the insanity of it all. Anyway, when Joey turns up in the audition, he learns that the rules were completely scrapped for being far too confusing. The point is, that's exactly what Akka Arrh feels like, a game that is both new and yet a revival of a once abandoned project from the publisher's archives. Akka Arrh, which I'll just refer to as the A game from now on, is literally a version of Bamboozled, one where the mechanics and scoring system largely feel made up out of thin air, and even when things make a little bit of sense, the title throws a whole bunch of new rules and systems to make the gameplay progressively more confusing and unpredictable. Confusion is the crux of the whole experience, and while some may find the process of deciphering rewarding in its own right, most will likely struggle to get into it. Arcade games are supposed to become second nature almost instantaneously, yet this one just doesn't get it. In fact, the game had the exact same problem in its original guise nearly 3 decades earlier when it was brought to light in 1982, but then it failed a focus group test as a sample of customers simply found the experience far too confusing. Back then, publisher Atari was smashing out hits like Asteroid, Centipede, and Missile Command, and the original A game lacked that same appeal. This version only remained a prototype inside Atari's vault, and it wasn't until the 50th anniversary collection that players got to try a build for themselves. In hindsight, the company made the right call, and whether it is a 1982 prototype or the current 2023 revival, the A game is a confusing title lacking intuitive playability. The 2023 version has creative input from Jeff Minter, best known for the Atari classic Tempest 2000. Even so, his involvement only adds layers of convoluted play mechanics to a game that was already lacking in pick-up and play appeal to begin with. So the core idea seems simple enough, taking control of a turret to fire projectiles at enemies. Some might even compare this to Black Widow, the Atari classic, not the Marvel movie. Unfortunately, the execution is where the perplexity sets in. The basic idea is to detonate a bomb which starts a chain reaction of explosions, and so the score multiplier is driven by the number of enemies which fall into the blast radius. Once an explosion is detonated, there's really not much else to do except sit back and watch as detonating another bomb breaks the existing chain and score multiplier. To add a little more to it, the turret can later use a rapid fire shot, giving players a bit more control over the action. There are all sorts of power-ups too. Over the course of the 50 or so levels the game offers, there's a nice flow of new mechanics and systems, but at some point, it all becomes a little too much to keep up with. There's also a system involving pods that serve as health in a way, and firing a certain number of bullets will restore a pod, but you can only have around 17 pods at any one time, and if you don't destroy any pods, then you get the bonus points. Yeah, Joey wouldn't get it either. Photosensitive seizure warnings in video games are a standard industry practice, but in this case, most players will want to take heed. This one is a visual explosion of colors and particle effects, with a confusing HUD and a ton of text in varying colors and font sizes. This is a psychedelic light show in every scene. Most of the mechanics get explained in flashing text, which is difficult to keep up with. Visually, it's as brain-melting as Polybius, so proceed with caution. On one hand, it's cool to see Atari assist to try to create something new out of one of their rejected projects, but it's clear why the concept itself was rejected back in the day. The 50th anniversary collection was only recently released, and honestly, the 2023 rendition of the A game should have just been part of the selection of games alongside the 1982 prototype. It just doesn't make sense to sell as a standalone title, as it really could have just been served as a DLC add-on. For what it's worth, Akka Arrh exists as a functional arcade shooter that tries far too many ideas for its own good. This is one for the Atari enthusiasts and historians. Everyone else is better off checking out the publisher's existing backlog. Noisy Pixel is giving Akka Arrh a 5 out of 10. Thanks for watching. Please read the full review at noisypixel.net. Noisy Pixel is run by a group of gamers who work hard to deliver news, reviews, previews, and more. Please subscribe to keep up with all our future content.
Noisy Pixel.